Far Cry 2004. While the original games are lauded for their realistic approach to combat and survival gameplay with some cutting-edge animations, it was supposed to be quite a different game. The game was originally planned to be a squad-based tactical shooter named Exile, where the player would have to battle an ancient alien life form closely connected to the dinosaurs. This is according to an old GameSpot interview. Far Cry 2, 2008. Of course, the original Far Cry game was an action game to the very core. Far Cry 2, however, changed things up a whole lot. The game was gritty and realistic. Of course, it had to be, since it was inspired by Joseph Conrad's short work Heart of Darkness, which also served as the basis of Francis Ford Coppola's movie Apocalypse Now. Far Cry 3, 2012. Far Cry 3 has a lot of supernatural elements to it. However, the game added so much more content that made it even more realistic than Far Cry 2 at times. It even features real people, such as Jing He and Kim Jong-il, which makes Far Cry 3 the first Far Cry game to feature them. Herc will also make a reference to Michael Bay. Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon, 2013. Blood Dragon will always be remembered as one of the most iconic DLC expansions for any game. This story had an influence that remains throughout the Far Cry series. Far Cry 3 includes a special Komodo dragon known as the Blood Komodo due to its red saliva and scale coloring. There are also fossils you can find in Far Cry Primal and Far Cry 5, Lost on Mars. Far Cry 4, 2014. The best thing about Far Cry 4 is that there's an actual part of the game where you can end it before even playing 5% of the whole story. It's at the very beginning of the game, where Pagan Min takes you to their fortress, and if you choose to remain at the table instead of getting up, he will quite literally let you go. Far Cry Primal, 2015. Far Cry Primal is the only game in the franchise where you cannot use any guns. This is a very unique take on the Far Cry genre, where only spears and arrows are your main weapons along with blunt weapons. It is also the only game in the franchise other than Far Cry 2 to feature enemy female soldiers. Far Cry 5, 2018. Far Cry 5 was a huge leap forward for the franchise. This was the first time they were bringing Far Cry to North America instead of a different country. It features a fully customizable protagonist, as well as operational planes all around the map that you can use. Not to mention, it's the only game that features drop-in and drop-out co-op. Far Cry New Dawn, 2019. Far Cry New Dawn is a unique game. It's a post-apocalyptic game that is set directly after the events of Far Cry 5. This game is perhaps the only direct sequel in the Far Cry franchise, and it features almost the same exact gameplay as Far Cry 5 with a few new weapon additions and an ATV. Far Cry 6, 2021. Far Cry 6 is one of the few games in the franchise which was beloved by almost everyone who played it. The game lacked a few features, such as throwable melee weapons, but everyone praised one important thing in the game, that it is the only Far Cry game in which you can have a chicken as a companion.